Hi, everybody. Welcome to Grow Your Channel. And so we got lots of great people here so far. Carbon Q, gosh, I just recently subbed to her channel. I've been missing a lot because I should have done that a long time ago. Lots of good content there. George Washington, I've got to write these down because when this is all over, I need to sub to the people I'm not subbed to. Let me get my notepad here. What do I do with it? Watch out, sweetheart. I got a chihuahua in between me and the notepad, and she doesn't like being disturbed. Okay, so George Washington, I need to subscribe to you. And this way I can also put all the links in the comments down below after we get done tonight and tomorrow morning. Okay, and let me see. Life is going 100 miles an hour in Florida. Yeah. Oh, great. So she brings up a very good point, and that is that the food banks are really having a hard time right now. They've got increased demand and increased cost and decreased donations. So they have far less to hand out and greater demand for what they do have. So if you have it in your heart, then I would strongly encourage you. Now, my church advocates 5% to the church and 5% to your charitable donations. So we kind of divide that up, and we do 4% to the food bank and 1% to the Texas Baptist Children's Home. It's an orphanage, and my wife and I sponsored one of the huts once. David, welcome. And so let me see, and Maggie and David Lynn. So David puts out in the morning what he calls Taco Talks, and he does very short discussions and introductions and everything. And so this morning, the one I watched, he was talking about a whole bunch of lighting. He's been talking about fire making, and so this morning he showed a whole bunch of lighting equipment that he got at Walmart. He did the same thing last week. He had some really neat Zippo windproof and waterproof matches, and it's been just some really good fire information about how to start a fire. And so I strongly encourage you to go watch his fireside talks. I don't think he ever really goes over much more than about 6 minutes. So a lot of information in a very short period of time, and just good information at all. Okay, so let me see what we got up here. We got Maggie says, a lot of homeless families with kids. Grace Medical Home is helping find homes for them. We're providing them with furniture and food. Yep, and it's going to get worse, unfortunately. I think it's going to get far worse. And that's why, I've been getting some stuff where I can share with my neighbors, and that's just one of the things we've got to do. We got to be careful of. George Washington, I'd like to see someone else's channel grow called Patriot Prepper. He's fairly new. I'd like to see him continue to go. Have him come here. We're here the first and third Wednesdays of the month, and so what we do is it's a barter. It's a trade. You subscribe to us, we subscribe to you. But so if he wants to come here and subscribe to us, we'll be more than happy to help him grow and subscribe. So just do me a favor, pass on the word. First and third Saturdays of the month at 8 p.m. We will help him grow if he'll help us grow. So yeah, and that's very good of you to think of him that way. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. And David just got off work. So the community meals, I haven't done any yet, but when SHTF happens, I've got a whole bunch of Bear Creek soups in a 5-gallon pot, and so I've put out I've got a flyer designed and printed. And basically, what happens is, some people call it nail soup, some people call it stone soup. But basically what happens is you got to put something in order to get something out. So you can put in water and get, if you put in X ounces of water, you'll get out half of that in soup. If you bring in some kindling or firewood to keep the pot warm, then you're going to get, X amount of a weight of wood equals a half a can or a can, 12-ounce can of soup. If you bring in noodles or something like that, you 1 for 1. If you bring in a meat and throw it in the pot, then you get a 1.5 to 1 exchange. So you get back half again as much as you gave. So it's just, what I want to do is I'm going to have the seed. I'm going to have the starter for it with the Bear Country soup and get that going up nice and warm. And then, even if you don't have anything, as long as you can go out and find some wood to add to the fire, then we will consider that a donation and you get to eat. And so, I plan on doing that on Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays once SHTF happens. Daryl, welcome. My wife and I just watched a series on Amazon Plus about Larry Hill. I don't know if you remember him or not, but he was a serial killer in Indiana. And so we just watched 4 episodes of that over the course of the last 2 days. That was kind of depressing. But anyhow, Jewish Redneck Prepper, welcome, welcome, welcome. So what we'll do is, do I have any Prepping by Faith just showed up. So Prepping by Faith is one of my moderators, and she will start going up to the top and capturing each person's link and put that in the comments. So don't be afraid. You can click on the link while it's in chat, and that will open a new window. It won't take you out of this one, but just go ahead to that new window and subscribe to them. Come back in here and let us know who you subscribe to and how many subscribers they now have. And that's kind of how it works. So right now it looks like Prepping by Faith is going to be doing a lot of work. Speaking of channels, everybody in their lifetime, they have favorites. And I just love Prepping by Faith. She does about 40% prepping and 60% inspirational, motivational stuff, and just does a very good job of it. Today, I was surprised. I so look forward to her introduction. It's just gorgeous, easy music, nice, gets you relaxed and calmed, and has some beautiful scenery that she has in her introduction. And her she did one today on 10 things to stock up on, I think it was. And we didn't have that introduction. I missed it. Prepping by Faith. I'm sorry, I missed it. Don't do that to me again. Okay, so she says she just subbed to Daryl Calhoun. And Daryl says, I just started making videos, but you started your channel in 2000. I'm pretty much the same way. I have my personal channel, and there's one prepping video on it, and I think that's 2011. And then I watched an awful lot. I subscribed to a lot of people and watched an awful lot for about 5 years. I was doing all of my prepping stuff on Facebook and on my website. And then Facebook kicked me off. I guess they don't like preppers. I don't know, but got kicked off of Facebook. And so that's when I opened up this, the YouTube channel. And so what they did was they said somebody in Australia had hacked into my account, and they would be happy to reopen my account if I could prove I was 13 years old or older. And I said, guys, I've had this YouTube channel for 9 years. If you look, or this Facebook account for 9 years, if you look at the grammar, diction, and spelling, I don't think that's the grammar, diction, and spelling of a 3-year-old. And they permanently banned me because I disagreed with them. But anyhow, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Oh, okay. That makes sense. I'm trying to learn this one that I just purchased. So LG has subbed to Maggie LB, the Jewish Redneck Prepper, and Daryl Calhoun. Fantastic. Now, don't forget, sometime in the next 24 to 48 hours, you have to go in and watch one of their videos and comment on it, or you'll be unsubscribed. Okay? So you do have to watch one of their videos and comment on it in order for that subscription to stick. Um, so what state are you in, Jewish Redneck Pepper? Yeah, I think that's probably what it was just too much prepping information. And then this was right at the beginning, or right in the height of the cough. And so every one of my daily things, I put down what the new count was as far as cases and deaths, and then let them know if that was an increase or a decrease from the average of the previous day and week. And then I was also giving the price of gold and silver and how it was happening. And I guess that they didn't like that. That was too much for them. But let's see. Okay, so LG is subscribed to Carbon Q. Yeah, Maggie may not do anything on her channel, but she is one of the best supporters out there. I mean, she's just done an awful lot to help me. I know that she's done a miraculous job, a marvelous job supporting our troops through Cynthia Briggs. So she's more of a supporter than a creator, but she will let you know good ideas. She has sent me a couple of fantastic ideas. So watch out for those. Thank you so much, you guys. You're doing a great job taking care of each other. How many people do we have in the chat right now? I don't see it here. I didn't see Peerless Times come in. But I did see Eden's Refuge come in. So Eden's Refuge, let me tell you what's going on with him. And you all need to subscribe to him, and he needs to subscribe to all of you. He is putting together, and I've done a video and a short, and then what do you call it? A share. But he's putting together a database, a prepper database of like-minded people where you can do searches for people to barter with, for people to share ideas and memberships and everything else with. And he calls it the prepper version of Angie or Craigslist. And so if you would communicate with him, he's doing his beta test right now, needs as many people as he can to get into that so that he can do some testing and making sure that everything's going well. And that might be a way for a lot of you to grow your community is through those connections in there. That's true. That's very true. And we're talking about the government and the media associated that's under their control. Let me see. Yeah, and LG is pretty much like Maggie, and LG does some fantastic comments. She is very appropriate to have around all the time. She'll let you know when things are good and bad, and she has some outstanding ideas. There's Peerless Times. Hello and welcome. Peerless Times. So is there anything anybody would like to talk about while we are waiting for everybody to sub to everybody else's channels? Peerless Times, Prep, YFAM. Okay. Writing down the ones I need to go subscribe to. And oh, you're quite welcome. Welcome to us. And if you'd be kind enough to subscribe to the others, Prepping by Faith will be putting in some channels. All you have to do is click on it. It'll open a new window for you. You won't lose where you are here. You can sub to them, come right back. Now, don't forget that tomorrow or within the next 24 to 48 hours, you need to watch one of their videos and comment on it in order for that sub to stick. Perilous times, I speak a little bit of German. I can get by in it. And I still have some friends in Germany, of course, in the intelligence community. And the guy who was the German chancellor that they're talking about, it was a mistake. He was talking about the invasion, and that happened on February 24th. And the way that the Europeans do dates is different from the way we do. We say September 24th or 2022. They would say 24 September 2022. And instead of saying 24 February, he said 24 September. Now, I will say the next day is what scares me, because the next day, the 25th, beginning at sundown, is Rosh Hashanah, which is the beginning of the Jewish New Year. And so typically we've had terrible things happen by some of those other groups out there at Rosh Hashanah and at Yom Kippur, two of their holiest holidays. And so, the 25th scares me far more than the 24th. And plus the fact that it's a Shemitah. So, you add all those things together, and I'm more afraid of something happening on the 25th. Yeah, so contact him and get the invite code so you can join. Oh. And there's a major channel, and the channel host. I don't like to do, critiques of other channels or anything like that. But it's just one of my pet peeves is when people say you can't eat silver and gold, so it's no value. And I'll say, well, if you can't eat silver and gold, would you please be kind enough to tell me your recipe for your ammunition? Or do you shred your defensive tools before you cook them or afterwards? Tell me how you eat those. Tell me how you eat your water bottle. I mean, do you cook it whole, or do you dice it up before you cook it? How do you eat all these other things that if edibility is the sole criteria for being useful or unuseful, there, 99% of the things that we as preppers value are not edible. So why would you use a trite, stupid expression like "can't eat silver and gold"? That's always kind of just, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Now, if you want to be an honest, intellectually honest person and say, you know what, I don't see any value in it, I disagree, but I will accept that, because now you're being intellectually honest instead of using a stupid, trite expression that can be easily disproven by almost anybody else. Fantastic. What do you think is significant about the 24th? Just a quick overview. I'd be willing to learn that. Hi, Rapture Ready. Yep. If you read Selko Begovich's book about his experience in the Bosnian War, once they formed these markets that was almost deadly getting to and from, gold and silver were the modicum of exchange. So, we all these current preppers come up with this brilliant idea: save little bitty bottles of whiskey, and you're going to be able to barter those for something else. And so the question that I ask is, only 5% of the nation right now is preparing for something to happen. So 95% of the nation is not. And those are the people who are going to want the whiskey that you're storing or anything else. They're the ones who don't have anything and want what you have. But what have they prepped? What are they going to have for you in exchange for that bottle. I mean, it may be a good commodity for you to get rid of, but what are you going to get in exchange for it from somebody who hasn't prepared? So I kind of disagree with the whole barter mentality at the beginning, at the offset. And I think what will more than likely happen is that that'll emerge, as Selco talks about and as Furfall talks about in his books. There's going to kind of consolidate into markets, and there you're going to want to have some sort of currency. And so I think what will happen is you'll be able to sell that to a vendor who is then going to resell it to somebody else. You'll get cash, and then you can use that cash, whatever it is, to go over to the other place that has what you want so that you can purchase it. And Selco talks about somebody bought some antibiotics for his wife with 1 ounce of gold. So, that's almost $2,000 for a set prescription of antibiotics. I think that was something else. Black Friday, 1929. Yep. And then 1931, there was actually a recession. It went down. There was a slight recovery. And so it started in 1929, came back up. And then in 1931 is when it really precipitously dropped. And that's when we had the bank failures and everything else. And that took us up. If it weren't for World War II, in my personal opinion, if it weren't for the full industrialization of the United States and near 100% employment, because all the guys were in the military, and then the women left the home and became factory workers and taking on full-time jobs outside the home. And I think that's what got us out of the Great Depression, was that full employment and just unbelievable how it all happened. Yes, you can. And there's a guy by the name of Venezuela Prepper, and he talks about that as well. And he also said, now it's different for him than it is for us, but he also says that U.S. dollars Venezuela Prepper says U.S. dollars are a very good commodity to have in Venezuela as well. So let me see. We got Perilous Times. Have we gotten Perilous Times? I get that up here. Yeah, we got Perilous Times. Okay, great. And C. Stone. That's a new one for me. Welcome. So I'm writing down all the ones I have to go back and subscribe to when this is all over. Yes. So back in the Wild West, a glass of whiskey was traded for one shot, one round, one bit of ammunition, so that's why it's called the shot glass, because it was the equivalent amount of whiskey being traded for a certain amount of firepower. Absolutely, I wholeheartedly agree with you. Why would I buy something today that people say is a good barter item that I hope I can find somebody who has prepared in the future when I need something, and that they prepared in advance and got what I need, and they're willing to sacrifice it in exchange for what I have to offer for it. And first off, I got to meet that person in the first place. And, so my philosophy is, why don't I just buy what I think I'm going to need while I can right now, instead of wasting money on things that I intentionally intend to get rid of. I think food and medicine are going to be the two things that everybody's going to need more than anything else. Oh, I did not know that. I thought the October Revolution was October 12th. Мне кажется, что. Yeah, I think the great Великая коммунистическая революция была на 13 октября. There we go. October. 12. 2 over 10. 12. 12th October. Now, I'm not sure. When was the battleship Potemkin? When did they do the insurrection on the Potemkin? Let me look that up real quick. Insurrection or mutiny. Potemkin mutiny. Okay, the Potemkin Mutiny, which they consider the beginning of the Russian Revolution, was June 14th, 1905. So that's really a precursor. That's almost like saying the Revolution of Streltsy in St. Petersburg. But here's a joke for you, if you like good communist jokes. Get up here and make sure if I'm catching up with things here. So for a bullet, yep, okay. So Khrushchev znoi puteshestvovali for Czechoslovakia. So Khrushchev and his wife took a trip to Czechoslovakia. И когда они вернулись, when they returned домой, home, они oh, I'm having a hard time with this new fake mouth. Почувствовали на поезде. They took a ride on the train. And и жена спросила, муж, где мы сейчас? And his wife asked, honey, where are we now? And он бросил свою руку через окно и сказал, ну, мы еще в Czechoslovakia. And he stuck his arm out the window and he said, well, we're still in Czechoslovakia. And a couple hours later, муж, где мы сейчас? И он бросил свою руку через окно, he stuck his hand out the window. И сказал, ну, сейчас мы в Польше. Now we're in Poland. She goes, okay. A couple hours later, где мы сейчас, муж? И он бросил свою руку через окно и сказал, мы дома. And he stuck his arm out again and he says, we're home. And she asked, how did you know we're home? And he says, the first time I stuck my hand out the window, somebody kissed it and I knew we were still in Czechoslovakia. The second time, somebody threw a rock at it and I knew we were in Poland. The third time, somebody stole my watch and I knew we're home. That's true. That's true. And at the height of the Depression, it was only like 27% unemployment, if I'm not mistaken. But it wasn't as high as it could have been. But we had the Civilian Conservation Corps too. So a couple of things happened right then. So like in 1933, you had the what's it called? Rural Electrification Act, the REA. And the Rural Electrification Act then began construction of the Hoover Dam. It authorized the Tennessee Valley Authority and it authorized the Lower Colorado River Authority. But the federal government only had enough money for the Tennessee Valley. So they entered into a bipartisan deal with Texas. So the Lower Colorado River Authority is here in Texas, and it's a 50% federal, 50% state entity. And they have 5 dams on the Colorado River here in Texas, and they provide a lot of electricity here. But building all of that, we've got Civilian Conservation Corps camps that are now recreational areas here in Texas. Most people don't realize it, but there's no natural lakes in the state of Texas. The only one is actually a wide spot in the river on the border with Louisiana. Thank you, Maggie. The easiest way, and I learned this by accident last week or 2 weeks ago when I was looking up everybody's things. I don't know if you know how to do it. I'm going to just say I learned it. So here's what I learned. If you're a moderator and you go to the 3 dots on the right-hand side and click on it, then the first one up top, it'll say, take me to their channel. And that is how Apartment Prepper does as quickly of putting in the links to channels as she does. I mean, she has got to be the fastest. And I found that out, and I think that's how she's doing it. So I think that's kind of a neat trick. I don't know if you knew that before or not, but if there is a channel, then it'll take you to, and it'll show it's basically as being a blank channel. Thank you, Peerless Times. And yeah, there's a lot of neat things. The history of Are You Pulling My Chain was the railroad workers. I'm sorry, it's coal miners. It was coal miners. And So they took these trains down inside the coal mines, and the very last car in the train that goes down into the mines was their honey bucket. That's where they went to the bathroom when they were down. And so if somebody was brand new, while he was sitting on the honey bucket, they would unhitch the car and let it start rolling. And of course, he'd fall into it. And they thought that was funny. So what they started doing was they started carrying a chain. And so you'd see all these coal miners that had a chain over their shoulder. And when they went to the bathroom, they'd throw their chain underneath the wheel of that honey bucket so that if anybody pulled the pin and tried to let it go down, then they would say they could find that out. So it would make a clanking noise, and they'd say, "Are you pulling my chain?" And that's how that phrase got its start. Yes, that's very true. You're very true. No, you're fine. Yeah, I think you are 100% spot on, absolutely correct, LG. I believe that myself. And that's why I think that food, medicine are going to be the two biggies. No, it's a battleship, Potemkin. Yeah. So you have to remember that St. Petersburg, well, that's another good Russian joke. I was born in one town, raised in a second, and now live in a third, but I never left my hometown. What town am I from? And so it was first Petrograd, Petrograd, and then Leningrad, and then St. Petersburg. So it's had three names in the past 100 years. I have seen recently a lot of Syrian and Israeli interactions with the Israelis bombing certain things and taking care of business with the Syrians. And the Syrians are kind of acting as a front in some aspects, some respects to the Iranians. And, in my opinion, if we just let it go and the Shia and the Sunni are like this, and it's kind of like the contention between the Protestants and the Catholics. Okay, and so if we just pulled out and let the two of them go after each other, they'd take care of each other. We wouldn't have to do anything. We stick our nose in it, and that gives them an opportunity to unite against the aggressor, us. But I'll have to watch it. I'll put that on my list of things to do. Yes, unfortunately, you are correct. And Friedrich Engels is probably the biggest one of that. And then we see that a lot of the extremely liberal factions here in the U.S. are of Jewish. And I don't know what to call it. We can call I call it a race because it is one certain group of people who follow a specific lineage all the way up to Abraham. And so I consider that a race, although there are some people who would disagree with that. We could also call it a religion, and very few converts, but you can convert into it. Oh, which is kind of interesting. What is the one religion that you can never convert into? Anybody know? Yeah, so are mine. My dad was born in 1923 and my mom was born in 1928. So they both lived through it. Yeah, about the same age as my dad, 1923. And then my mom was 1928. Yeah, and let me tell you how you're arriving at that. because remember that in Russia, up until the end of the Tsar, they used the Gregorian calendar and we used the Julian calendar. So there was a 12-day difference between the two as well. So that accounts for a lot of other differences as far as time spans and everything else. Well, it just so happens that I spent 21 years as a Russian intelligence analyst. And of course, my bachelor's degree is in Russian and Russian history. So, that's one of the things I can talk about a little bit. And I wanted to work, I was working on my master's in theology, and then they withdrew the program. So I ended up getting my MBA in production operations management and an MPA, master's in public administration in human resources management. And then started working on my PhD in andragogy, which is adult learning theory. Well, hello, Creative Redundancy. Welcome. So all we're doing is asking that you subscribe to everybody else, and they're going to subscribe to you. Then come back and let us know who you subscribe to. And I think Prepping by Faith is going to put your link up here pretty quick. But thank you for dropping in. And Disco Hook, ooh, that's neat. Did you find us yourself, or were you sent by Jack Auslander Info? He's one of our favorites, Auslander Info. Oh, wow. No, I think you're absolutely right. That's of all the things that scare me, a major conflagration in the Middle East scares me more than China, scares me more than Russia, simply because that's historically where we're going to have the final battles, and so, or biblically, I should say. So that's my biggest concern is what's going on in the near Middle East, and just keep up with that. Something else. I have been following that. There's a couple. He puts out Jonathan Cahn, and he puts out a lot of really good information about what's going on. And they think that the Temple Mount may have been a little bit different than what we think it is. But I've also seen some pictures of underneath the Dome of the Rock, and they have some impressions in a stand, and it looks like it might have been for the feet of the Ark of the Covenants. So, oh wait, let me have 2 minutes, okay? I'm going to run to my bedroom. I'll be right back. You aren't going to believe what I keep on my nightstand. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I made it back. But look at this. Although the span of the wings is nowhere close to 12 cubits, but nice little representation of the ark with the cherubim. So that's what I keep next to my bed. Welcome, Zombie Prepper. Yeah. Uh, I think that the only way you can really appreciate the New Testament is to understand the Old Testament, because the New Testament is the fulfillment of the Old Testament. So you have to really delve into the Old Testament in order to really understand what the New Testament's talking about, and some of the intricacies and some of the nuances and some of the miraculous things that happened in the New Testament and how they directly tie back to the Old Testament. And so in order to have the full appreciation, you have to really just be totally immersed in the Old Testament. Yes. sorry, sorry about that. Hopefully it wasn't too long. I limped as fast as I could. Yeah, and that's fantastic. You guys take good care of each other. Uh-oh, I just got a notification up top from one of my sources that says the Russian media is calling for total destruction of the West strikes on Ukraine. Uh, but we just have to be right. Uh, I'm not afraid. I'm not wanting it to happen. I'm not afraid. Just make sure you're right. Make sure you know what you believe in. And I almost got into it. I get so caught up sometimes. I almost did something. A person when Martin Luther broke away from the church, and I have that here somewhere. Let me see. I think I have it. Oh, gosh, I may have left it in my binder. Ha, found a stock certificate for a stock that no longer exists, and I didn't get to cash it in. Um, but when Martin Luther broke away from the Catholic Church, he did a couple of things. He had 5 major points we can talk about. One of them was sola fide, and one was sola scriptura. And I put it back in my office. But anyhow, in order to justify his beliefs, he added some words to the Bible. And then he deleted 4 books of the New Testament that he said didn't support his theory. He threw out Hebrews, Jude, James, and Revelation. And then, of course, John Calvin, about 5 years later, as another, so you had the Lutheran Reformation and you had the Protestant Reformation. And when the Protestant Reformation happened, John Calvin brought those books back into the Bible. So Lutherans to this day don't have those 4 books in their Bible: Hebrews, Jude, James, and Revelation. Gold is not what? Isn't she wonderful? I've got to say, of people on Facebook, if you can get into X24 reviews, howdy, we still have to get together for coffee. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Gosh, she's one of my favorites, one of my top favorites. I even like her more than I do people like Canadian Prepper and people like that, the big channels. I get more out of her than I do out of the big channels. Disco Hook. That was the 70s. Ooh, did I miss somebody? Forward Observer. Yeah, and gosh, yeah, she's doing it all by herself tonight. So what I'll do is I usually go to church at 9 o'clock, and I usually get home around noon. I like to go ahead of time and get myself right, and then spend a couple hours there, and then come back about noon. And so once I get home after noon, then I'll start trying to put all of these links down in the comments below. So it'll be there as a video you can watch in the comments, and you can subscribe to everybody that way as well. So I'll have those in the comments for you probably by about 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Oh, you're quite welcome. The more activity we can get out there, the more likes, the more we can get people monetized. I think that, if we can make other people money just by watching their videos, then why not? I mean, just watch those ads. That's the number one thing is watch the entire ad. Don't go through it and watch their entire video because talk time or watch time counts. And if you do that, then now we're providing an income for people. And as things are getting as bad as they are, this is an easy way to make money. So just we can support each other and help each other make a little bit of money. I like him. That's a Catholic joke. Uh, yeah, so you got to let the ads play through and watch it all the way to the end. If it's somebody that you like and and just for some reason this one video is not, you're just not into it. But usually this person, you want to watch them, you got that bell rung, you're going to see most of their stuff. Go ahead and just let it run. Go get yourself a drink of water or something. Go change the channel on TV. Let it run because the amount of time that you're watching plus watching all the ads all the way through are the two things that count the most for them making money. And some of those people out there really need it. And there's a couple great channels. I would really like to see them get monetized. I just think they're great people. Take care, David. Have a great evening. Yes, yes, and then within 24 hours, you should be watching one of their videos and leaving a comment. Oh, that reminds me. I was going to tell you the only religion on the face of the earth that refuses to allow anybody to convert into it is Hindu. So you cannot convert to Hindu. You have to be born into it. All right. I have a Jackery. And then, of course, we have the one on the ceiling, but mine's only a 1,000. I did not know that. You'll have to give me a call and teach me how to do that. Van City Prepper is another one of those ones that I really, really like. And I found out Monday night that I had been unsubscribed from her, and I'm a moderator on her channel. And I thought I had to resubscribe to everything. And really, that's fantastic. Yes. Thank you very much. No, it doesn't. You have to wait until the live comes back as a video. And that usually happens about an hour after the live. And oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. Where are we? 8:49. Yeah, you can put Van Cities there. Put Apartment Preppers out there too. Apartment Preppers is another great one to subscribe to. Oh, look at that. She's already done it. She reads my mind. Yes, it has in a lot of different ways. I need a second opinion on my hip, but all in all, I mean, pretty much thankful that all the surgeries I've had over the course of the last 3 months have just been as successful as they have. I looked back. The church sends me my donation envelope. Where did it go? Just got a new envelope in the mail today for next month. But because sometimes I'll have a collection for um, the charities that we support and everything else. But um, I just got my envelope sent today, and I realized I've now been 12 weeks I haven't been to church because of my hip and my mouth and COVID and everything else. And so, gosh, I got to get there tomorrow. Got to get there tomorrow. I did. What's his name? Pinball Prepper had a refrigerator freezer, solar refrigerator freezer, and combo. If you used his code, you got 2 batteries or 2 power packs for it. And stupid me, I didn't look at it really heavy until I bought it. And when I bought it and it arrived, I found out it did not have solar panels. It has 2 batteries you can charge, but it doesn't have solar panels to charge them. So I got to spend $270 to get more of that. Thank you, Peerless Time. Those are fantastic people, and Prepping by Faith, and you'll love the 3 of them. Another one that I really, really enjoy is a guy by the name of Prepper Dog, DAWG. And he's just we've kind of got this small family of people that just really do a good job of supporting each other. And Prepper Dog, I think, has probably got more of us connected than anybody else. And he is outstanding. He's a great guy. And then another one that we kind of fits into our group pretty well is Bouger. And so we've got that here, Bouger Prepper. She does a Wednesday cooking with cast iron. So she's always doing some sort of recipe on Wednesdays. Yeah, Father Mike Schmitz does a mass at 9 o'clock and he comes out of the University of Minnesota Duluth, and so I really like him. He's also I'm enrolled in the Bible in a year, so we're going through the entire Bible in 1 year. And we get 3 volumes of this, and reading the Bible. And so Father Mike Schmitz is doing that, and so right now I think we're day 265, only 100 days left in this year. Let me see, where are we? We're at day 261. So just a little bit over 100 days left in the year. Next year, he is going to do the catechism in a year. And so believe it or not, this is the catechism. This is the explanation of everything we believe and the biblical support behind it. And so he's going to go through this entire book in 1 year next year. So that's going to be interesting. Yes, Prepper Dog is fantastic, and he's been coming on in the mornings, pretty good. Somebody who has really been extremely supportive of smaller channels, and I mean, he's gotten to where he's inviting our group. I mean, he's invited Prepper Dog. I know Prepping by Faith has been on there. I've been invited on there. I think Prepping with Sarge has been on there, but the Angry Prepper out of New York City, he is just doing a fantastic job of getting us exposed and out there in front of his very large audience. And I'm going to be on his channel, interviewed on his channel on October 14th. So oh, really? Yeah, he's down in South Georgia. I spent some time in Noonan, Georgia, and Central Banker WW3. Huh. Yeah, and the one thing that I really like about this that we're doing here is what he did was everything has been color coded, and so all the tabs for the books are color coded in the Bible. And so we're going through it actually in chronological order. So we started off with Genesis, Exodus, and then you find out that there are books that were written simultaneously, or one's a summary of the other. And then for example, you've got Baruch, who was the scribe for um, Isaiah, and so you've got all these different books that take place at the same time. One, during the Babylonian imprisonment and the Assyrians and everything else. And so, if you do it in chronological order, you have a key to how it's happened chronologically. It really makes it a lot easier to understand, and it makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I, we have different vocabularies, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, he is wise too. I mean, he knows. I wish I had him as a neighbor. He's a very smart and wise person, and there's a difference between the two. So yep. And as a matter, he should have been here. Oh gosh, when was that? I guess it was the first Saturday of July. One of my really good friends, and I've known him for 20 years. He helped. He actually videoed. If you find my, and I don't put out what it is, but if you ever find my personal channel, he did all the videography and editing and uploading of my personal channel, and that was gosh in 2011. And but I was a seminarian, and I left the church. I was married to a Baptist girl, and then I became a Baptist minister, and then we got divorced, and after that I went back to the church, and so um, I did a lot of theological studies, and of course he has his master's in theology, and so especially premillennial eschatology is a very big concern of both of ours, and that leads right into your name as far as the rapture and premillennial eschatology. So, uh, you know what? And I think that's true. I think what it is it's patience. As we get older, we have more patience, and we're more willing to be a little bit more introspective and say, does this really apply to me? And we're a little bit more open to it. And I think other people are far ahead of me. But I'm not the same person I was when I was 24, 25. I can guarantee you that. And I wholeheartedly agree. I think we get a little bit wiser as we get older, and we get a little bit more patient. I wish I had, the story I told my daughter is, I wish I had the patience of a grandparent and the love of a parent, because I can see in her the same things that we did, the same concerns and everything else as a parent, and then as a grandparent, you look at it a little bit differently, and so we are more acceptant of some of the things that we see because we just know that that's the nature of life. And yeah, discernment and wisdom. That's my daily prayer. Uh, help me to understand who I am and how to interpret things, because sometimes I don't know if an obstacle is being put in front of me because it's to prove that I have the perseverance of Job, or whether it's actually a signpost saying, don't try this because it's not good for you. So discernment is what gives you the ability to make that interpretation of don't go this way, or yeah, you need to prove that you deserve it. Yep. And and when you think about it, just think about Solomon. When Solomon took over for his father David, and remember, Solomon was basically an illegitimate child because he was a child of David and Bathsheba, and he was conceived when his father was still alive. And uh, so when Solomon became king, God told him he could have anything he wanted, and he only asked for one thing, and that was wisdom. And wow, what a wise choice that was. Yep. Absolutely. You are so spot on correct. And that's one of the things that has to happen before the end is all these false teachers coming up and being able to discern that. And the book I'm reading right now is besides the two for our book club. I actually have two other books going on. And this is the Handbook of Catholic Apologetics. And so this is debunking a lot of Martin Luther's points, especially Sola Scriptura and Sola Fide, and very interesting book. And then I just finished this one, which is Crossing the Tiber, and this was written by Stephen Ray, and he was an very rigid anti-Catholic evangelical preacher. And as he got more and more into scriptures, and he took a couple trips to the Holy Land, he converted to Catholicism. So, and so here's something that's kind of interesting, and I know it's 9:00, so we probably have to hang it up here pretty quick. Most people don't realize the significance of Mary when we call her Queen of Heaven, and the reason is if you take a look at Saul, David. You take a look at Solomon, and then the kingdom split right after Solomon's death, and you had Israel to the north, basically 9 tribes to the north, and then 2 tribes to the south, and then Levi was split between the two because they were the priests. But each of those kings had somewhere around 200 wives. So which one was the king? Was the queen? And so in Jewish tradition, the queen was the king's mother. So that's why Bathsheba had to request an audience with David. She couldn't go in and talk to David when she wanted to, but when she went in to talk to Solomon, she didn't have to request an audience. She could just walk right in on him because she was the queen mother, the queen. And so that's kind of how we end up with some of the things that we believe about Mary, is because she was the mother of Jesus, and therefore, in the Jewish tradition, she would become the queen. If Jesus is the king, then Mary would become the queen. Okay, anything in particular that anybody wants to discuss before we hang it up here? Oh, wow. Okay, that sounds good. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you for being here. We do appreciate you, and thank you for supporting your fellow YouTube creators, and hopefully they'll be supporting you as well. And maybe I might go over there. I tell you, take a look at it. I think Solomon had 200, 300 wives and 700 concubines. I mean, no, and then the very thing that God warned about was that the kings would take unto themselves many wives and many chariots. And so the other thing was he had something like 1,200 chariots. And all the things that God warned about, the king becoming too powerful and too greedy and too money centric and too earthly centric, came to fruition. It depends on whether you want the Catholic version or you want Protestant. Um, I would say when I was with the Baptist Church, I'm going to assume that you're probably Protestant. Um, this is probably one of the best study guides you can ever have. This is the Thompson Chain Reference Bible. And so it's got all the historical notes. It's got all the chain reference. It's got a fantastic lexicon. It's just that one Bible probably will do you. Just pick up a spot or pick up something you're interested in finding out about, and it'll lead you to everything else. And so I think in the Catholic version, that's what I would recommend. If you're Catholic and then I would say, get a hold of Father Mike in Ascension Press. And this comes in three. There's 120 books, 120 days for each book. And so when we get into it and we're reading something, so typically what it's going to have is, let me get a good one here. It has a picture. So it has reflections, things that the keys that were taught in that chapter of the Bible. Here it has a prayer that supports your learning of that Bible. And then here it's take it deeper. And so it gives a little bit more historical and archaeological findings about what's going on with that reading for that day. So right now we are only reading the book of Matthew. We're reading three chapters of Matthew each day for the next 4 or 5 days. Thank you, Maggie. Let's see where we are and catch up, and then we can all call this a yeah, that's true. As a matter of fact, I just took mine out in here. I was trying to clean up the dining room a little bit, but I had 5 different Bibles in here. And one of them was the Layman's Parallel New Testament. And so it gave 4 translations side by side. And then, of course, I had my old Greek Hebrew Bible as well. So I took both of those out and put them in my office. Okay. Wow. That is so true. And my favorite thing when I'm talking to people about translations is, there was a Star Trek, and I don't remember if you are old enough to get into the original Star Trek series at 9:00 on Thursday nights on TV, but they were fighting this entity that was drilling holes. It was a mining, and it was killing all the miners, and it was drilling these circular tunnels throughout everything. And so finally, when they caught up with it, it kind of it had an acid that it secreted, and it secreted a message on this rock and then moved off. And the message was "No kill I." And so, that left you with the whole thing of trying to understand what it meant. Did it mean I won't kill you? Please don't kill me. How do you interpret "no kill I"? And so a lot of times grammar and grammatical inflections can do something. And my favorite one right now is we don't teach grammar anymore. So people are using myself in improperly in place of me and I. Somebody said, myself and my wife are going to homeschool our children. I thought, no, please don't. If that's how you're going to talk and that's your understanding of English grammar, please don't teach your children, because it should be my wife and I are going to teach our children, and myself is a reflexive pronoun. But that's what happens with translations, is people don't even understand their own grammar. Okay, on a mission for truth, welcome. We're about ready to drop it out. So let me see what prepping. Oh, don't get you started on grammar? Absolutely. Yeah, I have to hold myself back because I don't think people understand. Anyhow, thank you all, everybody, for being here. Really appreciate you. We won't be here until the first Saturday in, and as a matter of fact, we aren't even going to be the first Saturday in October. We will not have one the first Saturday of October. I'm not going to schedule it because for the first time in 20 years, my wife and I are going on a mini vacation. And so we will be out of out on vacation during that first Saturday of October. And her birthday is Sunday, so we'll be celebrating that. So thank you all for being here tonight. Really appreciate you. Prepping by Faith, you are the absolute best. Thank you so much for the wonderful job you did single-handedly monitoring tonight. So, Maggie, LG, if you're interested in being a moderator, please, if you go to any of my videos, you can go to my icon, go to my channel, then about me, it has my email address. Just send me an email address if you'd like to be a moderator, and that way you can get a little bit of help for Prepping by Faith, because she is always so consistent and so wonderful to be here. So with that, I'm just going to say thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful evening. And please remember that we're all in this together so we can come out the other side together. Be kind, respectful, and polite with each other, because togetherness is the key. Take care. Bye-bye.